Welcome to 6th grade math. If you have any questions on the homework, please let me know. All right, getting ready for the lesson. An department store selling flip-flops for $5 a pair. So that gives us easy. We know one pair is $5, two pairs $10, $3 $15. I mean, three pairs $15. Number one, how many pairs of flip-flops can you buy with $20? 4. So that would be here, 4, $20. How many pairs of flip-flops can you buy with $25? 5. Write a proportion to express the relationship between the cost of 3 pairs of flip-flops and the cost of 7 pairs of flip-flops. So if 3 pairs cost $15, we can say that 7 equals C dollars. How much will it cost to buy 6 pairs of flip-flops? $30. When you find an unknown value in a proportion, you are solving the proportion. As you discovered in lesson 6-3, there are different methods to determine if a relationship is proportional. You can use these same methods to solve a proportion. Scaffolding questions. Create proportions using the ratio of girls to boys in your class. Number 1. One girl and 2 boys stand up. What is the ratio of girls to boys? 1 out of 2. Sit down. Number 2. 2 girls and 4 boys stand up. What is the ratio of girls to boys? Is this ratio of girls to boys equivalent to the ratio 1/2? Yes, because the ratio would be 2/4, which simplifies to 1/2. Sit down. Number 3, what if 6 boys stand up? How many girls would have to stand up to create a ratio of 1:3? 3. What if 10 girls stood up? How many boys would have to stand up to create a ratio equivalent to 1/2? So if 10 girls stood up, and we need a ratio of 1:2, 20 boys would have to stand up. Examples. Solve using equivalent fractions. Solve each proportion. Number 1. 4/7 equals m/35. Find a value for m so the fractions are equivalent. 4/7 and m/35. Since 7 times 5 equals 35, multiply the numerator and denominator by 5. Remember, whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So 7 times 5 equals 35, and 4 times 5 equals 20. 4/7 equals 20/35, since 4 times 5 equals 20. M equals 20. Number 2, 12/15 equals 4/y. Find the value of y so the fractions are equivalent. 12/15 and 4/y. Since 12 divided by 3 equals 4, divide the numerator and denominator by 3. So 12 divided by 3 equals 4. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. 12/15 equals 4/5, since 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Number 3, x/16 equals 7/8. Find the value for x so the fractions are equivalent. x/16, 7/8. Since 16 divided by 2 equals 8, divide the numerator and denominator by 2. What number divided by 2 equals 7? 16 divided by 2 equals 8. 14 divided by 2 equals 7. 14/16 equals 7/8, since 14 divided by 2 equals 7. X equals 7. Check your progress, solve for each proportion. A. 2 over 3 equals 9 over 9. Find a value for n so the fractions are equivalent. 2 over 3 and n over 9. Since 3 times 3 equals 9, multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. 3 times 3 equals 9. 2 times 3 equals 6. 2 over 3 equals 6 over 9, since 2 times 3 equals 6. B. 30 over 54 equals z over 9. Find the value for z so the fractions are equivalent. 30 over 54 and z over 9. Since 54 divided by 6 equals 9, divide the numerator and denominator by 6. 54 divided by 6 equals 9. Whatever we do to the denominator, have to do to the numerator, so 30 divided by 6 equals 5. 30 over 54 equals 5 over 9, since 30 divided by 6 equals 5. Z equals 5. C. 5 over 8 equals 40 over x. Find the value for x so the fractions are equivalent. 5 over 8, 40 over x. Since 5 times 8 equals 40, multiply the numerator and denominator by 8. 5 times 8 equals 40. 8 times 8 equals 64. 5 over 8 equals 40 over 64, since 8 times 8 equals 64. Examples. Make predictions in proportional situations. Number 4. Restaurants. In the United States, 12 out of every 15 people prefer eating at a restaurant over cooking at home. Use this ratio to predict how many people out of 500 would prefer eating at a restaurant. Write and solve a proportion. Let P represent the number of people who can be expected to prefer eating at a restaurant. So let's set up the first proportion. 12 out of 15 people prefer eating at a restaurant. And we need to find something proportional where P out of 500 prefer eating at a restaurant. 12 people prefer restaurants in the first one, and we don't know how many people prefer restaurants out of the 500. The denominators 15 and 500 are not easily related by multiplication. What that means is we can't multiply 15 times the whole number to get 500. So simplify the ratio 12 out of 15, then solve using equivalent fractions. So we need to simplify 12 out of 15, and we're going to do that by dividing by their greatest common factor, or GCF. So 12 divided by 3, and 15 divided by 3, and that will give us 4 out of 5 people. Since 5 times 100 equals 500, multiply the numerator and denominator by 100. So we're going to multiply 5 times 100 and 4 times 100. We're going to get 400 out of 500 people. So about 400 out of 500 people can be expected to prefer eating at a restaurant. Check your progress. D. Ice cream. There are 810 calories in 3 scoops of vanilla ice cream. About how many calories are there in 7 scoops of ice cream? Write and solve a proportion. Let C represent the calories in 7 scoops of ice cream. So we have 810 calories in 3 scoops of ice cream equals C calories in 7 scoops of ice cream. So 810 and an unknown number of calories and 7. The denominators 3 and 7 are not easily related by multiplication. So all that means is we can't multiply 3 times a whole number to get 7. So simplify the ratio 810 out of 3, then solve using the equivalent fractions. We have 810 out of 3. We need to find the greatest common factor to simplify it. And what we'll do is we'll see if 3 will go into 3 and 810 evenly. So we'll divide both by 3. and we get 270 calories per scoop. Since 1 times 7 equals 7, multiply the numerator and denominator by 7. We'll get 1,890 over 7. So 7 scoops of ice cream contains about 1,890 calories. Check your progress. E. Bedtime. If 15 out of 25 students go to bed before 10 p.m., predict how many go to bed before 10 p.m. in a school of 1,000 students. So 15 out of 25 equals S out of 1,000. I used S for students. So 15 out of 25 before 10. And we don't know how many out of 1,000 go to bed before 10. The denominators 25 and 1,000 are easily related by multiplication. So we can multiply 25 by some number to get 1,000. 15 out of 25. And since 25 times 40 equals 1,000, we're going to multiply the numerator and denominator by 40. 15 times 40, 25 times 40, and that equals 600 out of 1,000. So about 600 of the 1,000 students go to bed before 10. Example, solving using unit rates. Number 5, driving. Millers drove 105 miles on 3 gallons of gas. At this rate, how many miles can they drive on 10 gallons of gas? Step 1. Set up the proportion. Let A represent the number of miles that can be driven on 10 gallons of gas. So we have 105 miles on 3 gallons of gas. That's known. And we need to figure out how many miles can we drive on 10 gallons of gas. Step 2. Find the unit rate. We've used unit rates before. We have to find out how many miles can be driven on 1 gallon of gas. So to do that, we're going to find an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 1. And if we divide 3 gallons by 3, that will give us a unit rate of 1 gallon. So we'll divide the numerator of 105 miles by 3, and that will give us 35 miles per gallon. Step 3. Rewrite the proportion using the unit rate and solve using equivalent fractions. So we're going to divide the unit rate of 1 gallon times 10 gallons, and then we'll multiply the miles times 10 to find out how many miles we can drive on 10 gallons. So 1 gallon times 10, 35 miles times 10, and we get 350 miles on 10 gallons of gas. So the value of A is 350. At the given rate, the Millers can drive 350 miles on 10 gallons of gas. Additional examples. Number 1, 4 over 5 equals 28 over x. Find the value for x so the fractions are equivalent. 4 over 5 and 28 over x. Since 4 times 7 equals 28, multiply the numerator and denominator by 7. So 4 times 7 equals 28. 5 times 7 equals 35. 4 over 5 equals 28 over 35. Since 5 times 7 equals 35, x equals 35. Number 2, b over 5 equals 16 over 20. Find a value for b so the fractions are equivalent. b over 5, 16 over 20. Since 20 divided by 4 equals 5, divide the numerator and denominator by 4. So 20 divided by 4 equals 5, and 16 divided by 4 equals 4. 4 over 5 equals 16 over 20. Since 4 times 4 equals 16, b equals 4. Okay, number 3. 19 over 38 equals n over 22. The denominators 38 and 22 are not easily related by multiplication, so we can't divide 38 by any whole number that will get us 22. So we're going to take 2 steps. We're going to simplify the ratio 19 out of 38, and then we'll solve using equivalent fractions. So 19 over 38, we're going to divide the numerator and denominator by 19 because 19 is the greatest common factor of 19 and 38, and we'll end up with 1/2. Since 2 times 11 equals 22, and that's what we're looking for denominator, we'll multiply 2 times 11 and 1 times 11, and we'll get 11 over 22. Number 4, sports. Out of the 40 students in a gym class, 12 rate soccer as their favorite sport. Based on this result, predict how many of the 4,200 students in the community would rate soccer as their favorite sport. The denominators 40 and 4,200 are easily related by multiplication. That means we're going to be able to find a number that we can multiply times 40 to get us 4,200. So we have 12 out of 40 who rate soccer as their favorite sport, and we need to solve how many out of 4,200. So 12 times 105 and 40 times 105 equals 1,260 out of 4,200. So I did that real quick on this slide. We would have to do some math, maybe find some the least common multiple and go up from there. So about 1,260 out of the 4,200 students rate soccer as their favorite sport. All right, here's your homework. I hope the lesson was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions on any of the homework problems.